Alright guys, so today's video is going to be a little bit different than normal. I'm obviously not at the parks. I'm actually at my dad's barn dominium in Texas, and I thought it might be nice to talk to him about the process. Would it be safe to say that you've come full circle from RVing as a child to being a full-time RVer to now owning these properties with me?
Yes, I mean, I think that's true. You know, I started off, I think my first RV experience was probably in the 60s. And we just had a vacation lot in Washington State that we would go to.
This is your parents?
My parents. But then we traveled a little around the United States.
You guys have been full-timing or at least part-timing and then living in Mexico part-time. But at some point, you were ready to retire. But so what made you decide that we were going to get into RVing? What made you decide to bring me on?
Well, you know, we had sold our business, and included in that were some commercial properties that we had. So we had to either pay a fairly large amount of tax up front, or we could buy other properties. Mm-hmm. And since we liked RVing and had a great time, that seemed like a reasonable method to go to. And so, you know, we started looking for RV parks. And then when one came up, I realized, oh, it would be hard for me to run these by myself, or because now I just have another job again.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was going down my list of people who I thought could be involved. And I really didn't think you wanted to be, but I thought,
neither did I.
Right. I thought, well, I have to ask, otherwise she'll be upset that I didn't ask her.
I would have been, yeah.
And I guess the timing was right, and you jumped in, and you've done a great job.
Well, thank you. What surprised you the most, making the transition from customer to owner? What was the thing that surprised you the most?
Well, I was actually a little more critical of the park than I probably was even as a consumer of the park. Right away, I could see things that if I was the customer, what I would like. You know, some of it you could change easily, and we did, and others, you know, it takes time. You know, it's not, when you're starting to try to change lot sizes and, you know, drainage patterns and a few other things, it's a little more involved.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think that was probably the biggest difference. And, you know, and then trying to say, you know, what could I add, what value could I add to this park to make it even better type of thing.
Yeah, we're talking about the park in Mississippi now. So I was a little scared to buy the park, and this park is the most challenging, I would say, thus far. But in some ways, it's the best park.
Well, I think it has a lot going for it. Obviously, it's a beautiful area.
Yeah, the area is really nice.
It's very beautiful, heaped in history.
And right by Natchez, which is like...
Right, you're right on the Mississippi River, essentially. And then you have the Natchez Trace, which is just a gorgeous drive. Obviously, you guys have worked on a lot and made it much more beautiful even than it was.
Yeah.
And, you know, soon we'll be doing an expansion. And
excited about the expansion.
Be even better, so...
what was it that actually did attract you to that park, though? Because it's not an obvious decision to make that.
Yeah, I think, you know, there was probably the biggest is I had looked for parks, mm-hmm. and wasn't finding a lot available in the situation that I needed to be, time frame, etc. You know, I had a great broker, who really thought this park was probably, if anything, underpriced. He thought there were a few issues that made that happen that he didn't think were hard to correct.
Yeah.
And so,
which is true.
Right. So he really encouraged me that it would be a good investment, and that we could do nice stuff for it.
Well, the good news is, I think that if we sold it, we would make money today.
Well, I'm sure we would. I think it's a good investment, a long-term investment. And,
I don't think that the other parks have necessarily realized their full potential, but they have realized, I think, more potential than that park, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, in some respects, I think it's certainly Quilly's Magnolia is a little gem, as far as I'm concerned. It's, you know, it's close to the freeway, so it's good for people coming and going. You get some workers in there. You certainly have, you have this great Civil War battle ground.
It's a cute, like, I think that it has kind of a triple whammy in that it's less than a mile off of I-20.
Right.
I mean, that's where we get a lot of people from Arkansas, a lot of people coming from Florida, a lot of people coming from that area in Texas, coming for overnights. But you also get people who are, super into the history. There's so much history. There's actually, so much to do that when we were doing the guide on the back, we were having to pick and choose what tourist spots we tell them to go to. And then of course we have, the workers. Yeah. So I guess, that park, you had guidance from Mark,
right,
the real estate agent, and so you felt quite confident in it. But actually, so that was our first park that we bought, but the other two, you didn't have that type of push to get it. But the other two parks you were in some ways, at least if not more confident about.
Right. So, in Freeport, I really went to look at a different park.
Yeah.
Which seemed like a great deal. It was, quite large, reasonable price. A lot of times guys make really nice pictures when they're selling these things. When I went into it, the first thing my wife said is, "Are you sure you want to spend the night here?" And I have to say, it seemed kind of like a meth pit. And, so we quickly made up our mind we were not buying this park. But in doing so, we happened to drive by another park that was for sale, and it was 100% the opposite of what we were staying in. It was just gorgeously done, all perfect infrastructure, truly turnkey.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And, it's in what we call an opportunity zone. So if you buy something in an opportunity zone, you have to put a certain amount of money into it as part of the, the government's encouraging you to invest in these areas. But it was one that's actually was kind of hard figuring out what you would put into it because it was so good.
That is something that we're going to run into, right? Is
right.
What do we put into it because it is so good.
Yeah. So, and just again, another lovely community, nice beach.
Yeah, the beach is, I think, underrated.
Yeah.
So underrated. When we went to dinner, there's really cute restaurants that you can go to dinner right on the beach. I thought the beach was great.
Yeah, no, it's a great beach.
What do you think our biggest challenge with that park is going to be, or is?
Well, I think it is a park, and it only is 30 spots. So that's a challenge just because don't have room for a lot of expansion or other things.
And you have to keep the overhead pretty low in order to make money.
Right. But I think just the fact that you have the beach there and stuff like that, I think will be a big draw. And I think it's just a matter of getting the right people to understand it's there. Everybody that stays in the park always loves the park because it's beautiful.
I've never heard a bad thing about that park.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that kind of brings us to the third beast, which was the park in Rockport.
Yes.
Which we didn't think we could do because, Rockport, they have a lot of limitations on expansion and stuff. So we didn't think that Aransas would really work out for us.
Yeah. It has just these, again, same lovely trees, all these nice live oaks, have all these ponds. The ponds are stocked. So, just huge catfish, 75 foot.
75 pound.
Right.
Yeah, not foot.
Yeah, 75 pound. And then there's, they have, of course, bluegill and stuff like that in there. They're fun to catch. And some bass and stuff like that. And, we were there this last weekend with some friends. And several guys were out there fishing, having a great time. My friend, he was just casting his little flies, catching just the little bluegills, but it's still a lot of fun.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's just had a great time. And you're close to the beach again, so we had a great beach day, had a lot of fun, and it was just a really good time.
What is the thing that you're most excited about for Rockport, expansion wise?
I think it deserves first class treatment. So currently it doesn't have much in the line of facilities beyond, the ponds. I certainly want to expand the pond concept and being able to park your RV around there because it's just great.
Beautiful.
And then, I think it deserves a swimming pool and stuff. So if you want to come there for the weekend, you can really relax, have some game areas, conversation areas, and be able to just not even have to leave if you don't feel like leaving.
It's a good problem if you're like, do I go to the beach or do I stay at the RV park?
Right, and it definitely.
And it's already kind of like that.
It has that feel.
Yeah, like imagine once we have like a pool, once we have, we have some games right now, but we're gonna even like expand on those. Nobody's gonna want to leave, including myself.
Yeah. Well, I think that's always, to me, sometimes that's a test because I always will have plans. I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then sometimes you get to a park like that and you're thinking, I don't need to do any of that.
I can
stuff.
just chill out.
I'm just gonna be here and just enjoy the place and the moment, and that's good enough. And,
Yeah.
It definitely had that feel where I was like, yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't need to do all these other things. I'm fine just here, enjoying just the nature and enjoying the people. People who are fishing and stuff, even though I would call it practice fishing, and some is catch and release, and it's.
Yeah. But they're not all catch and release. If you catch one that's big enough, we let you.
Okay.
Give me a little credit.
Well, most of the guys are catching and release, but they're having a great time.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be, when you're around people who are having a great time, it's hard not to be having a great time.
Oh, it's really true. It's really true. So what do you think the biggest, the thing that you're most excited about the expansion in Magnolia is?
In Magnolia is just being able to accommodate bigger rigs properly.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
We do have them, but it's kind of tight for the big rigs right now. So that's going to eliminate that. And then again, we're increasing our recreational part of that. So we'll have fire pit, good conversation pits, places that you can just sit and socialize. It already has a nice pool.
Yeah, the pool's nice.
It has nice barbecue places. But it'll just kind of be expanding on the things that were already good.
While diminishing the things that weren't.
And giving a little more room, especially to bigger rigs.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess that what we're doing at Cozy in Freeport is a little bit less drastic, but what are you looking forward to the most for that?
Well, we're building a really beautiful gate.
Yeah.
Which I like. It's got stone, it's got wrought iron, and I think it's a safe park, but I just think it gives you that extra sense of security because you just have, some control of access.
Sometimes it's safe, but what feels safer than being gated?
Right. That's what I think. And I think it's an upscale enough looking park that it just enhances
Deserves
that.
the gate.
So I think it's great.
Thank you guys. If you like this kind of content, let me know in the comments below. If there's any questions that you have for Orrin, either about full-time living or owning the RV parks, also ask in the questions below, and we will see you next week. Bye.